of that time has no real objective. The report also reveals many people are aware of tools to control their screen time, but they struggle to find even the willpower to use them. With me now is Maureen Tanguy, who is CEO of MT Art Agency and the author of The Visual Detox. I'm assuming that book is all about teaching people to get themselves away from these screens, away from these phones. Why are we so bad?
I think exactly, and I think it also talks about overconsumption of content. So if you think on a daily basis, you are consuming 10,000 images. So your brain can only process
10,000.
10,000, and your brain can only process 1% of them. So it's discussing what happens to your brain with this overconsumption of content. Doom scrolling is exactly making the algorithm surfacing non-stop emotionally charged visuals. That's the one that we must engage with, and ultimately impacts on our anxiety and fatigues and depression and the mechanism behind that.
So what is it that we can do to stop ourselves from doom scrolling? Because often I find I sit down to have a look at a few bits and bobs online. An hour later, I'm still doing it and I'm flitting from one app to another. It's just insane.
Well, the reason the platforms absolutely love to encourage more visuals on them is because visuals travel substantially faster to the brain than words. And as such, you don't even have time to think, do I even want to see this? By definition, you also store 6,000 images out of those 10,000 images. And therefore, when you think of doom scrolling, you are fully active. So something that we're really encouraging is how can you be critical? How can you be active instead of being passive?
But when videos are auto-playing for you, how do you
you're
stop?
fully passive, and I think we're encouraging how can you be more active, therefore, and critical of it.
So how do you stop yourself if you're scrolling and these videos are being thrown at you and the algorithm knows what you like?
Well, I think, as you know, and you have kids like I do, I think is stopping encouraging the loop and effect. I think YouTube is something that, for instance, I never encourage my kids to look at, because as we know, you can start with a video, learn with a complete different ones. As adults, I think is constantly thinking, I've actually chosen to look at this, and re-asking that question constantly, because you're constantly thinking, should I switch off my phone or not? But actually the bigger question is, how do I choose more intentionally the content that I want to look at daily?
And how do we do that? What's the answer?
I think there's a few things. You can curate your content. You can ultimately filter the brands out. You can also exercise your critical thinking, especially visual critical thinking. It sounds silly, but I think we in BBC here, BBC Verify is fantastic at telling you the sources of imagery we look at. But ultimately, constantly being critical on how long have I been looking at this? What is this image? How did I land on this image? And catching yourself and your brain and your memory from doing that.
How damaging is all this, do you think, to society?
Well, I think, as we know, it's more damaging to kids because your brain is not fully formed yet. It's damaging in the sense that, like, you're not fully conscious, and we're leading to a society where, like Huxley as an utopia, we are not making conscious choices that can never be good in a democratic state where you want to be civic, you want to be democratic, you want to make decisions that are your own. And here, the attention economy is built on grabbing your attention and you away from making decisions. So it is problematic. We're seeing that geopolitically, you're going away from making decisions that are your own.
So do you think it's not our fault?
I think it's definitely
the fault
the design
of the social media companies?
Well, I think the Prime Minister is assessing how the design of these platforms are designed to make it really addictive. So for sure, that's a design. I think it's sadly we also need to wake up on how do we make sure we're more critical towards it.
When I say 4 hours a day on average in the UK is spent on a phone, does that surprise you, Maureen?
I think that's the problem, is that memory-wise, we go so numb, and it's shown with the brain that, like, you're going so passive that you do not realize how much time you actually look at it.
It's not just kids, though, because older people, I think, are also doing it more now, aren't they?
We're all doing it. And that all goes back to you're looking at too much content. With too much content, your brain has to go numb. By definition, as you go numb, you switch off the memory. You're not even conscious that you are spending that much time doing that. Like we exchanging, we will have a memory of that conversation. You can't have memories when you're absorbing so much content, and that numbs your memory per se.
Okay, so that's numbing factor that makes it last so long.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Maureen, it's so interesting to talk to you. Thank you very much indeed.